Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. The Dodgers round out their rotation and some power bats land in the NL. Let's talk ball. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jimmy. I'm sitting next to Jake. Producer BBD is in the room, and Trevor Plouffe's joining us from his backyard in California. Trev, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Love Monday episodes. We go through the weekend. We speak, randomly on our group chat. But then I get to see your beautiful faces in the morning. I'm having a good morning. I'll say that. You guys probably know what that means. But I am excited to talk some ball. There's a lot of stuff kind of like, maybe not crazy topics, but I think a lot of really important pieces going to these teams. So I'm excited to talk some shop. And I got a little bit of Trevor's tidbits.
Oh,
so little teaser
for Trevor's tidbits. Brought to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin'. I forgot about that. Jake, how do you do?
James, Trevor, BBD. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. One of these signings turns my head for a team. Bunch of relievers go at the end, and it's almost febrile. I'm very over January. January just gray, and I thought January had so much more like kick off the year energy. Like let's get it. It's like no, dude, just get out my face. So I'm glad
January's hibernate month.
January's hibernate.
Yeah.
Month. And yeah, I've been good. I went on vacation with Jimmy and Matthew and the wives, and then I went straight up to Twinsfest. Love seeing all my Twins Nation. Where we at? We're at, yeah. But it's good to be back in Cali in my horse barn.
Everything is so true.
You had a good time, Trev? Good. Heard you got a lot of love. Good.
James, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I also enjoy the Monday episodes. I'm interested to see how these signings do for you guys. If I was to Chris Rose this, I'd be like, which one is actually going to make the biggest impact, and which one is going to be just like a trade piece or a non-impact? Because I don't know, to be honest. They could all be impact. They could all be kind of like nothing. So I am interested to hear how you guys think these moves stack up. It's good to see some movement. All the articles about Boras agents clogging up the free agency are interesting me a lot because, so I was going to tweet this, but I forgot. Okay. Maybe I still will. Paxton had a good article about the last time the top 4 free agents slowed everything down or whatever. Well, they were also Boras guys. And see, I don't know if I get in trouble for asking this question. Boras signed Jordan Montgomery, in the middle of the season last season. Now, does Boras and his group have the foresight to know, hey, we have Snell, but the next big starting pitcher on the market is probably going to be Jordan Montgomery or one of them, and we don't have him? It helps us out if we have both, and then they go meet with Monty and pitch, and Monty switched agents halfway through. So I was trying to wonder, like, is that a long game that they play? Like, does he want both? Did he not want Monty? He just wanted both 2 starting pitchers. And then is that working for or against him? So the Boras stuff has been on my mind a lot.
That is interesting because if you're Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, you're like, who are you taking care of the best here? Like, who are you really shopping? Because obviously teams, prefer one or the other, but you would think usually a guy like Boras' number one priority would be the guy that is going to make the most money, right?
And maybe Boras doesn't know which one's going to earn more, so he goes out and says, "I want both." But Jordan Montgomery joined Boras midway through last season, I think around the trade deadline, because Monty was pitching really well in a commodity. So I was just wondering if we were to go back in the past and see people that signed up with Boras right before their free agent year, like, is there something about the landscape that alters who he wants in his portfolio?
Conflict of interest if one of those two top free agent starters wants to come, we'll represent you. I don't think any of us are cleared to do that, but we could figure it out. 10%. That's all I charge.
Snell's gotten 1 offer so far. And they said Chapman's gotten 0 offers so far.
That's surprising. I'm doing this later with Chris Rose. I like Chapman to the Cubs.
Yeah, but when they say offer, they mean like really like a piece of paper that says we are offering you this. Not
Numbers
like
have been discussed.
yeah, like
Who's the team that offered Blake Snell? Did I miss that?
the Yankees.
Heard of them?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
but he apparently wants way more money, almost double.
At least he's got a floor set. I guess that's nice. Yeah, that's very. I would love to be a fly on the wall of some of these talks that Boras has, just because he has the 2 lefties. It is very interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people that did actually sign. We can start with a pitcher since we're on pitchers. The Dodgers go get James Paxton. 1 year, $11 million deal for Big Maple. Deal is $8 million salary, $3 million signing bonus, $1 million opening day roster bonus.
That's the freaky part of it.
Or $500K if he starts the year on the injured list but returns by April 15th. Is he battling an injury we don't know about? Didn't he finish this season healthy last year? Or is this just James Paxton clause?
Placed on IL September 10th with right knee inflammation, but I think Paxton's just got a lot of history with that.
Okay. And then he'd lock in an extra $250K for making 16 and 18 starts apiece and would max out the deal with another $500K for reaching 20 starts. So interesting move from the Dodgers here, who have Yamamoto and have Ohtani next year. Reminder, Ohtani needs a 6-man rotation. Yamamoto comes from Japan, where they have 6-man rotations, or they have just an extra off day in their scheduling. Actually, I'm not sure which one it is, but it lends itself to us being part of a 6-man, the off days. So do the Dodgers, are these their 5? Are they going to rotate off days? Or are they just getting themselves ready to have a 6-man next year with Yamamoto and Ohtani? Those are kind of my first questions. But Jake, is this the one that excites you?
Is this the one that excites me of these signings?
Yeah.
Or, no.
Okay.
But it's pitching depth, and it's a name. James Paxton is an awesome dude. Go check out the old highlight of the Eagle landing on him. Go check out some of his pitching highlights. Remember when he was the ace for Seattle, came over to the Yanks for a little bit, had some big boy outings. He's just had a lot of injuries, and he's 35 now, that to pencil him into your rotation for 150 innings, you just can't. But right now he's listed as the Dodgers' 5th started. He threw 127 innings last year, which it didn't feel like that. It's a 4.45 ERA, but he's pitching at Fenway for half those games. And you love the place. You have to remember it's the Dodgers, who have tapped into basically every pitcher they've touched for the past decade. And right now it's listed Yamamoto, Glasnow, Buehler, missed him last year, Bobby Miller, your guy Trev, and James Paxton. And when we were looking at the Dodgers rotation and we're like, well, they should believe in some of these kids, and maybe we need to believe in some of these Dodgers kid pitchers. Well, right now with Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, your guy River Ryan turning heads this offseason. Seeing those first couple guys I mentioned as their depth pieces, Emmett Sheehan threw 122 big league innings last year, and now that's your 6. Now the Dodgers have the MLB starting pitching depth that you'd expect from them. And, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it, but I think that it will lead into, is the next thing that's going to happen Kershaw, and, Paxton and Kershaw are supposed to combine to be one pitcher for them next year, but I don't know. What are you seeing, Treviello?
I agree. It's just depth, and I think finding a guy that's going to be 150 to 180 innings right now is seems like a fool's errand, right? No one's doing that anymore. So you almost have to have a stable coming from my barn back here. You got to have a stable of guys, and that's what they're doing. I mean, you have some really high end, top of the rotation stuff here with the Dodgers. Yamamoto's going to be a guy. I know he hasn't thrown a pitch in the big leagues yet, but he's fucking nasty. He's going to be a guy. Bobby Miller is going to be a guy. Walker Buehler is going to be a guy. Like, I have no doubt about that. Now, Glasnow also, like, I mean, those 4 guys right there, you can rely on. But, you know, the innings is a factor. So you have to have the guys in the back end, the young guys coming up. And I think Paxton is just kind of another piece of those depth innings, essentially. And the thing I really am interested in with the Dodgers in this signing is they're over the third competitive balance tax threshold. So every single signing that they have, they're paying 110% on top of the salary they're giving the guy. So he's actually going to make or cost them like almost $25 million this year. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They want to win the World Series. They want all of the lights and the spotlight on them, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. They needed to do this. Whether it was Paxton or somebody else, they needed to go get essentially just more innings. I like that he's a left-hander because they don't really have that in their rotation. They don't have that in their rotation. So I think that plays a little bit of a part in it. But again, I think you get a guy like Paxton. You don't expect him to, you know, put up gaudy numbers, but a guy that's going to take the ball. And what do you think? I mean, I think a good over-under innings pitch for him is like 100.
Yeah, and I just want to correct myself. He threw 96 innings last year. He's projected to throw 127 this year.
So, yeah, and Paxton actually really looked good early in the year last year. He kind of like stumbled later in the year. It wouldn't surprise me if one of these young guys came up and like basically planted himself in that 5th starter spot, and we see kind of Paxton in a swingman type role going forward. But you're paying $25 million for that. Think about that, man.
I'm interested. You know, I know the Dodgers have a lot of injury-prone guys in their rotation and the money to do this, but it's not that much money. Like, some other teams out there need guys in their rotation. It's not that much money. I don't know. Just Dodgers can just pull the trigger on shit. Or if you need a legit rotation piece that you're not concerned about injuries, which clearly they are with all the incentives, and you're a team that can't, like, have that risk. You can't go sign James Paxton for this deal, even though it's cheap. So it's just nice to be nice for the Dodgers. I am interested to see if they change his pitch mix at all. Not a James Paxton thing, but just a Dodgers thing. Like, they kind of love tapping into stuff. And he doesn't throw many of the pitches that usually they tap into because he's a lefty. So there's no two-seam or, like, sinker, sweeper in Paxton's repertoire, really. So I'm interested if they try or they're like, nah, you're good.
I know we kind of like hit on it a little bit, but I think another storyline that comes from this is the Kershaw saga. Like, when does he sign back? And are they even considering it right now? They have to be considering it right now. But 1 year, whatever he's going to make, 17 to 20, that's what Kershaw makes every single year, means 34, 35, $40 million.
I have a question. If this sentence is uttered in negotiation in the conversation between the Dodgers and Kershaw, let's just see where he's at come June and chat then. Is it the Dodgers saying that to Kershaw's agent, or is it Kershaw's agent saying that to the Dodgers? Like, who would rather be like, hey, you know, let's just rehab and keep going and see where the team's at and where you're at come June? Which, if that was to be said, who would be more likely to want that?
Jake, you go first.
Who would be more likely to want that? The Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because the Dodgers, you know, Clayton's, let's knock on wood, if something went bad with his rehab and he got hurt again, then the Dodgers don't have to pay him whatever the Dodgers have to pay him. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking of Pettit and Clemens. They wanted that when they got older with the Yankees. They would call the Yankees halfway through and not be under a contract. And Kershaw might have made enough money, might be I have no idea. But yeah, this is what it could remind me of that. Like, I remember, was it 2011 or 2014? When was it when they called Pettit halfway through and they're like, hey, dude, can you come on retire? We need a pitcher. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. And they struck Bryce Harper out 4 times. He was like 44 and Harper was 19. He was like, here's a cutter. Ever seen that? Bryce was like, no.
Looking at the reference page, I believe that's 2012.
2012. So, yeah, Yankees have oddly had, maybe a lot of teams have had guys, older pitchers that just hate spring training and hate the first half of the season. Clemens hated it. And Pettit used to say, yeah, I don't want to do spring training, you know?
So let's just say that everything goes to plan and those top 4 guys that we mentioned, plus Paxton or one of the young guys comes up and like the rotation's stable and we're into June and they're all looking good, decent enough, healthy. Like, what does that do for Kershaw? Does that make him like, you're not coming back to LA? And if he wants to play, he's got to go somewhere else. Like I got to feel like they're in lockstep about him being a Dodger for life, but I think this presents itself as a situation where maybe it could come to an end because they're not going to sign him because if he comes back midseason, they're not going to give him $20 million. Say they give him 12. Again, like it's another $25 million that they got to dish out. And if everything's going right and they have all these guys, I don't think they do it. And if he wants to pitch, then somebody else is going to go, and it's not going to cost them 25 because they're not going to be over the tax like the Dodgers are. He's going to the Rangers.
I don't know. We do the same Kershaw thing every year.
We do.
We used to laugh at the Rangers idea, and then they go out and win the World Series. So it's almost like he kind of missed the boat on that one. Like you can't join now, dude. I don't know. In my head, Clayton Kershaw is going to be a Dodger, and we'll laugh that we talked about it
again. But they can't sign him if things are going right? Or is there room for him?
I would think he'd want to have something figured out before the season, unless the new Clayton Kershaw that we've dreamed about every offseason for the past 5 years shows up and is like, yeah, I'll be a true vagabond. And I would love, I think every year I dream about, I know Jim brought up Clemens and Pettit, with all this talk about innings and like, to find a guy who throws 150 innings doesn't exist anymore. Like, I don't know, Clayton Kershaw, if he really wanted to, if he didn't care about the Dodgers and legacy and all that, which he definitely does, but like, I don't know, if Clayton Kershaw just waited till June 1st and whatever teams are in the race and whoever's not and said open bidding on me, he'd probably still get himself, 15 mil for half a season at that point? Like, that's not a bad way to do life. But I'm just not going to believe Clayton Kershaw is going to do that to himself. But if you're a pitcher and you're in that boat, it's not a bad lifestyle. And just our annual, hey, here's some Clayton Kershaw stats. His last 46 starts over the past 2 seasons, 2.37 ERA.
No way. Oh, my God.
250,
he's washed up, though.
258 innings, 2.37.
He's good.
He gives a few homers in the playoffs, and you can't get any respect.
God. Gross. I've got a new partner announcement.
Uh-oh.
Someone I might be linking up with
Jess.
after the big game. Supercuts. Sirens go off. And I tell you to run down there right now, but you may want to wait 2 weeks or so, because if the teams combine to score 75 points in the last football game of the season, they combined for 73 last year, just short. If they combine for 75 or more, Supercuts is giving out a chance for free haircuts. I'm actually looking to get one. And I like Supercuts. It's kind of made for the Jakes of the world. Come in there. Open arms. We'll take care of you. And if you head to supercutshighscore.com, register, read the terms and conditions, you can get free haircuts at Supercuts. So go check it out. You're going to watch the game, so you might as well have Supercuts in the back of your head. Maybe all 4 of us head in.
Take James.
BBD with that head of lettuce. Yeah, he's in the haircut game.
He's gotten one haircut.
Really?
I mean, for a 2.5-year-old, he's bald as shit. But
Is he going to get those lines on the side of his head like the cool kids do nowadays?
I mean, if he wants them, no, he won't get those.
Dude, he's gonna be such a swagged
Can't let
out
him have
little
a cool
ball player.
haircut.
Oh, I can't wait.
I like my hair right now. I looked at it when we were filming
Pretty
Weekly
good.
Dumb, and I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
my hair looks all right." I
That's
didn't
a
do much
super
to
cut.
it.
Place.
I brought a hat though for the Boone event.
Nice.
Mondays are no hat day, but end of the day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Supercuts. Let's move on to Colt Keith. You want to talk Colt Keith next, Jake? Is that the one you're
Missing the two big
fired
ones,
up?
man. Rhys
That's the one you want?
Rhys
I was
Hoskins
joking.
Yeah, I
goes
like
to the
this one.
Brewers on a decent contract, and young Jock Boing to the D-backs. I think we got two good power hitters here. And Hoskins is the story. 2 for 34 with a 1-year opt-out. All the conversations that we've had about this free agency, if Rhys Hoskins had one of his normal years, which every time Rhys Hoskins has played over 100 games, he hits 27-plus homers. Like, think about the bats and conversations we've had about this offseason. Like, Belly, who was awesome last year, and he was obviously awesome with a big gap in between. Matt Chapman, platinum-type defender. What are you going to get from the bat? Rhys Hoskins is consistent as consistent comes. He just missed a year with a torn ACL that if this free agency, if he just had a regular Rhys Hoskins season, I think we'd be talking about him as like the second most reliable bat. And where does he land? Milwaukee, a team that we've almost mentally written off because it's like, well, they're going to trade Corbin Burns. It's his last year. They haven't. The Cubs still don't have Belly on their team, who was their MVP last year, to get back to the however many wins they landed with last year. What was it, 84? So, like, the Milwaukee Brewers, who we've almost haven't talked about a lot this offseason, we've always waited for them to do an impact move. They locked up their super prospect, Chiriot, so he's going to be out there balling, and they bring in Rhys Hoskins that, like, I don't know, they won 92 games last year. The Cubbies won 83 in second place, and I don't think they've gotten better yet this offseason. Maybe when Belly comes back and they have made other moves around it. But the Brew Crew, like, I've been waiting for them to bring in a Rhys Hoskins for 3 years. So I'm kind of jazzy about the Brewers.
I think it's even been more than 3 years we've been asking them to, like, go get a bat, please. Like, we got Yelly there. We need some more thump. We've tried the Rowdy Telez's. We've tried that. Shout out Rowdy. Don't want to put you down or anything. But Rhys Hoskins is a different hitter, much more consistent. I think exactly kind of what they need in that lineup. And I did, you guys know, I sat down with Yelly. We talked a little bit about Brewers baseball and the state of the union and all of that. This is before they had signed Rhys. So, or was it? I'm not really sure. We talked about it. What he said was the young guys got to step up. And he said, Chiriot is supposed to be the guy. So that's kind of the formula that I think they're taking is we have in-house options. They had room for Rhys, and I'm glad they did that because he's going to stabilize the middle of the lineup, and he's a patient hitter he might strike out a little bit, but he's going to walk too. He's going to hit some homers. I love him in that park. Going from Philly, which is a great place to hit as well, and you kind of stay, and now you're in Milwaukee. I think he's going to really like just the atmosphere of playing in Milwaukee. I think he's really going to thrive there. But this means something. And if they end up not trading Burns and just offering the qualifying offer at the end of the year, like I'm thinking a little bit differently about the Brewers because of this move. It seems to me like now they are kind of saying, you sign Jackson Chiriot to the deal, you bring in Hoskins. It's points to the sign of, we still consider ourselves the best team in the NL Central. We still think we can do this, which I don't know if I had that thought process earlier in the offseason. So this signing, I think, not only for me, but for the fan base, has got to give them like hope. Like, dude, 2024, okay, we're still doing it. We're not doing a mini rebuild or a retool or something like that. So I think it's a great signing. The opt-out is, you probably were going to get that with Rhys. He wants to go in and reestablish himself in the market. If he has a good year, I think he's probably gone from Milwaukee. So it's essentially you can bank on the 1 year 17 or whatever, however they split it up. I think it's a really good move for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean they looking for first base production for a long time. Kind of just rotating big men for the last couple seasons. Traded for Santana. And Rhys can bang. Where does he go in the lineup? I mean, are they going to put him cleanup? Was one thing I wondered. And then the other thing was defensively. Does this help or hurt the rest of that infield? At one point, the Brewers' infield was awesome. I think Rhys graded out a little below average, but sometimes first base metrics are, I'd have to just ask people that watched Rhys play at first because first base metrics were telling people Rizzo was bad 2 years ago, and I watched him every day, and he was like saving errors nonstop on picking balls. So I guess let me know. See, is Rhys a plus, or is this going to hurt the infield? You know, are the shortstop and third base happy?
Run prevention. That's what the Brewers specialize in.
It's true.
Yeah, with the first baseman, like the corner guys, it's all about kind of stopping the balls down the line. That's how you get the good defensive metrics for you. But really, you know, if I'm just speaking as a third baseman or a shortstop, like you just want a guy that can pick the ball a little bit, who is a decent sized target, and I think Rhys can do both those things.
Last year, the Brewers slugged .389 from the first base position. That's not good from a thumping position.
Yeah, this Fangraphs projected lineup is they got Frelick batting third, Hoskins batting fourth. I don't think that's how it's going to line up.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that one of the lefties can break it up. You know, Frelick was pretty solid for them, but you wonder how much thump is going to be in his bat. But, you know, Yelly's on base, veteran Yelly, has become like a pretty good leadoff guy. If you're a Contreras brother, you're just going to bang. Like, that's what you end up doing. And then Rheeser's going to bang, and Adames is going to, like, his numbers are going to land in a good area for, like, a shortstop. So, yeah, for me, the next step is, like, who's going to be the guy? Like, Garrett Mitchell, you know, he had the pretty much season-ending injury. And who of the young guys is going to step up? Or is Chiriot like that dude? Like, he's projected for 17 homers and 25 swipes next year. Hasn't played Major League Baseball. So I don't know. I guess I've been doing the mental exercise of the NL Central. I think even brought that to one of our off-season episodes. And, like, the Brewers have, if they've played a full season since 2017, they've won 86-plus games. Like, that deserves a little bit of respect. The counter to that is, and you'll love this, Trev, well, now Council's gone. And Stearns is gone.
Wow.
So if you believe in, you know, that shakeup throughout the organization, that's something you could say can worry you. But this team has been the class of the NL Central with, like, zero hiccups. And I don't know. Brewers lineup, we always do this conversation. Right now, it looks sexier than it has.
Really?
Than it for the
I
Brewers.
mean, yeah, Rhys helps out, sure, but who's
I've
like
been
the
looking for
biggest
a
free
reliable
agent they've signed, like as of late?
Free
Is this
agent? I think it's Rhys.
Is this it? 17? I mean, that's a decent number, but
I mean, they've been
I
taking
guess
flyers.
I guess it's to your point. I go in every year skeptical of the Brewers. And, like, I know they're going to do it. I know they're going to, you know, they're going to win more games than they lose. But I just can't really wrap my head around how it's going to happen. We used to talk about their pitching and, okay, they got their pitching. They seem to hit a little bit, run prevention, blah, blah, blah. I look at this lineup and I look at the roster. I look at, you know, the back end of the rotation. I'm like, how are they going to do it? Like, I said a 500 ball club. I think Rhys helps that out. I think they're going to finish above 500. But it just seems like things have to go right for them all the time. And they do. And you do have to give credit to the front office for, you know, whatever system that they have, you know, finding guys, and their projections are better than we see online. But I don't know, man. I'm still skeptical, which is, I hate to say it, but I got to see it. And then they're probably going to just say, yeah, Trev, you're an idiot, and here's a 91 win season.
Yeah, I don't know where the sexy factor's coming in. It's a lot of the young guys that haven't done it yet.
It's sexy compared to previous Brewers lineups, is what I was saying.
I feel like every year we've been asking them to go get that reliable, especially specifically a righty power hitter, and Rhys brings a lot of stability there. And if you believe in any combination of the kids taking that step this year, you can get excited in a way we kind of haven't in a little bit.
Like for what Chiriot is projected to be in past Brewers lineups, we would have been like, can he hit third? And they have him hitting seventh.
He might hit third.
He might.
Yelly was adamant. He goes, people that are around the game, people that he trusted, this guy's the best player they've seen in a long time. He's 19 years old. He was mostly in AA last year, kind of crushed it. Played, a week or so in AAA. I went and watched his swing. His swing is airtight, bro. Very low front foot, which to me, I think that's like a key of someone that can be consistent, and a guy that's 19 about to turn 20. You don't see that too often. He's got pop, goes can go oppo. It looks awesome, but we got to see it at the big league level. But I think when you give a guy that type of money before, all the metrics suggest, all the data suggests he's going to be a guy, and he passes the eye test too. Say Joey Weimer just before we move on.
Joey Weimer.
Jock Pederson
Boing.
to Jake Snakes.
Boing.
What's the deal here? It's 1 year, $12.5 million.
It's yeah.
What did he originally sign with the?
No, it's a 1 year, 9.5, but he has a mutual option at 14 for 25, and the $3 million buyout is what brings it up to 12.5 guaranteed.
Okay. What did he sign with the Giants? I feel like it was less, and then he took the qualifying offer with them. Last year had a down year according to the results, but a fine year according to the metrics. Goes to the D-backs, where I believe I read that Mike Hazen, the general manager, has said he's wanted a full-time DH for a while, and Pederson fits the bill. You like this for your Snakes?
I do. I mean, you just know what you're getting. I think Jock isn't going to play against lefties anymore. That we kind of went through that time period where it's like, well, he's young, and the best way to get better against it is get reps, and the Dodgers kind of never let that fully happen, and in the same way, like, he hasn't been great versus lefties. So, hey, if there's a righty starting pitcher on the mound, which there's going to be for 125 games, Jock Pederson can be in the middle of your lineup. And, the Snakes have some fun because we saw Gabriel Moreno last year. He's a guy that against left-handed pitching, he's a one-dotter. Against right-handed, he's like a 700 OPS type guy. So you've got a fun little lineup dynamic here where, for how often we praise the Rays about putting their guys in positions to succeed, these are guys that you can put in positions to succeed. Like Jock, hey, man, DHing in itself, kind of like you said with the Hazen quote, it is a skill. Like to have to sit on the bench for 3 hours and you get 4 at-bats, like some guys ain't going to be wired that way. So Jock, who's got experience doing it, pretty plug and play for more than 3/4 of your games, something like that. And if it's a righty, hey, you got to see Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Jock, Christian Walker. Like, that's the start of a lineup. If you're a lefty, Ketel being the switch there, and then Christian Walker is the righty and Gabriel Moreno. Yeah, the Snakes have put together, everyone thought they were going to lose Lourdes Gurriel. He comes back. They've added Jock, and they added Erod. So, like, with
Eugenio
Suarez. So, like, coming off of a World Series, like, this has been a nice little offseason for the Snakies.
This is how I know you don't know sexy, bro.
Okay.
This is a sexy lineup right here.
Well, this is a World Series team. We're talking about comparing it to the Brewers.
Was that a fluke run? What the freak was that?
Okay.
Are we ready to talk about that yet? No, I love this lineup. I really do. And all these quotes about, Snakes need a left-handed bat. And I was like, well, were they really bad at hitting right-handed pitching last year? They were better against right-handed pitching. 737 OPS against right, 711 versus lefties. But obviously, the vast majority of starting pitchers, around the league, especially in the NL West, are right-handed. Jock is one of those guys that could carry this team for a couple weeks. Very streaky type guy. He can hit, 7 homers in a week if he gets right. So I think this is great. The 1 year with the mutual option is always good for, the team and the player, really. So I was pretty excited about this one. I didn't really know exactly where he was going to land. But thinking about him in this lineup, there's just a lot of like fun players. Still some question marks, I guess. Like, is Gabriel Moreno going to be the guy that he was like in the postseason? He's a young dude. Like, you expect him to, get better. I want to see what kind of year he's going to have. But I think bringing in Jock, you kind of know what you're going to get. And when you have some young guys, and I don't know, the more I look at this lineup, the more I'm thinking it's going to be what it is. I don't think there's a lot of like up and down here. I think they're going to be pretty consistent. They have like enough righties, enough lefties, speed, power. Like, it all kind of plays together. Like, it's a well-formed lineup. And I'll tell you who I'm very excited about. I think Alec Thomas is going to have a great year this year. I just like this guy. When I watch him play, I'm like, this guy is going to do something. I think I predicted he was going to hit a homer at some point last postseason. Didn't happen. But I like watching him play. And he's probably the last guy you'd think about in that lineup. And I think he's a pretty dang good player. So go Snakes.
I'm working on a little algorithm right here.
Jim?
Trying to butter knife some stats for Jock. The only thing I'm missing is slugging percentage because I got to get the actual like calculator out.
Right. What do you got?
Well, he was like a part-time player a lot last year. And I was trying to look at in games where he had 3 at-bats or more, did he perform better? In games where he had 3 at-bats or more, he had, holy shit, the same exact on-base percentage.
Well,
that's crazy. But a worse batting average. But I'm guessing the slugging was higher because he only had 1 home run, and he played like a lot of games where he only got 1 at-bat, pinch hitting, or he got 2. He had 25 games where he only had 2 or less at-bats, and in those he only had 1 home run. So I was guessing that his slugging and his output was better when he was starting and playing full games. Because I saw his game log, and I was like, that's a lot to just like be a part-time player and just go get an at-bat. That'll drag your stats down. I probably could have done the splits as a starter versus as a sub. But the slugging calculator is too much work. I bow out.
I just had a thought because Jock posted a picture. He has a Cybertruck. And then he just got one. And I thought about Jake driving a Cybertruck. It's a great image for me.
I've got a little Jakey Jock Pederson butter knife, and you can think of me in the Cybertruck. Well, I tell you about Nutrafol, because they're who's bringing you Jakey's Jock fun fact. 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime. Hello. I look at some of my picks. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, with over 1 million people seeing thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding. So, what you need to do, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter promo code TALKBASE. Sure. Find out why 4,500 healthcare professionals and hairstylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. Enter promo code TALKBASE. There's a link in the description. Grow out your hair pretty, get a good haircut. We're giving you everything at Talkin' Baseball. My Jock Pederson one ended the year on an 0 for 17. That chops your stats down. He was a 790 OPS. He finished the year at 764. So he was just sad boying with the Giants.
they were dead.
So Jocks, remember when Jock had the whole city of Atlanta wearing pearl necklaces?
It was awesome.
He's something, bro.
He's something.
He's something.
He's something. Something.
This lineup is sexy.
I'm interested in the Neris deal, unless you guys want to go somewhere else. I'm trying to read Rosenthal's article about like why it's so low. I know he wasn't.
We talked about that before the show.
I know he wasn't closing in with Houston, and like they use saves as a number. But I thought you look at some of the other like the dude. I know he's older. Stevenson and the guy from Cuba.
Rodriguez.
Yes, we just did.
Rodriguez.
They got like, what did they get? They got more than this.
They both
They both got
32.
3 and 4 years respectively.
Now Neris can earn up to $23 million of this $9 million deal, which is a ton of incentives. And his velo's down. He's old, but like I don't know. I thought he was going to get more. Who's his agent? It seemed like Boras.
So he gets the options are interesting. Gets $9 million, and then there's an option for 25 that becomes his own if he pitches in 60 games, which is interesting.
Which that's
go ahead, Jake.
That's basically a full relief season, right? Like he threw 71 last year. That's on the high end. So if he is good for them next year and healthy throughout, he'll beat that and he'll get that option. But yeah, I think he got hurt by age and the predicting stats because like his FIP wasn't great last year and relievers can be a little volatile. But yeah, that's I was a little surprised. I think everyone thought at least 2 years would be like a lock.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the bullpen, 5th inning, just doing jumping jacks. I'm ready, coach. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Put me in. I feel good today. How's your arm feeling? Great.
Get those
Don't worry
April
about it.
appearances up. Get like a 13 appearance April.
Couple more pain offs. He's fine. Just popping some pain offs. I'm good, coach. Don't feel a thing.
Meanwhile, D-Rob, 5 years older than Neris, goes to the Rangers.
Yeah, obviously, because this is the best signing every offseason is David Robertson on a 1-year deal.
11.5
somewhere
mil.
Where he's going to go out.
Guess
and
who
just
guess who his agent is?
Boras.
Well, himself, but we've heard that.
Oh. I didn't know that.
At least at one point it was himself. Maybe he
it's-
went back to having an agent.
It's still himself, but I've heard there's a technically.
Interesting. Does he give money away for the technically?
I think he pockets it. Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I love David Robertson. Just, I mean, the stats are what they are. I know it wasn't great with Miami in the closer role, but once he moved out of that, got better. Like he's just a guy. His body's good. Throws a good pitch. Like he's going to be a good reliever. He doesn't have to be a closer. Like he can still give you high leverage innings. And that Rangers bullpen is still very, I would say, considered unsettled at the least. Like Leclerc is a guy. I think he's actually a really good piece. He showed up in the postseason last year. But that was something that they definitely had to go get in the offseason. I think this is a perfect deal for them. I love it, man.
I got a fun game.
Yeah.
You like games?
Ooh, yeah.
Might be you're one of the biggest game likers in the world.
I like games.
That's true.
Matt Moore, 1 year, $9 million. Hector Neris, 1 year, $9 million. D-Rob, 1 year, $11.5 million. Aroldis Chapman, 1 year, $10.5 million. What would you want?
Which one of those guys?
Yeah.
I think the money comes down to saves. I think you guys are right. Like D-Rob got some saves, and I guess that adds to it. I don't know. Which one would I rather have? And what kind of team am I? Do I need a back of the end? Do I have a decent closer already? Like that matters here.
It does become interesting because Matt Moore's numbers are great, but I don't know. It is expectation. Like who?
I'm taking D-Rob. I feel like it's like old reliable.
Does everything.
Yeah.
He was really good before the trade deadline. I think he had like a 2 ERA.
I think there's some reliever ERA funny business in Miami where it's just like stumbled at the beginning and I think figured some stuff out outside the closer role.
Yeah, he was getting save opportunities the first half of the year. Yeah, in Miami, his first in his second outing, he went 3 earned runs. No, it looks like he had enough. He had a real rough August. Yeah, he had a real rough August in Miami.
Yeah, horrible August. Yes. They still made the playoffs. I kind of forget they made the playoffs, but I obviously didn't forget they made the playoffs.
Well, that's because they made the spring training playoffs.
Oh,
Practice playoffs.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
Blame baseball.
It's not nice.
Any other big
I agree.
Nationals?
Not
Joey
nice.
Gallo. New
Joey Gallo to the
uniform
Nationals.
for
Yeah.
them. People are real mad they're getting rid of the cherry blossoms after this year, which I kind of am too. Those are beautiful uniforms. Like, why don't you just keep those? Your new ones, block lettering needs to get out of baseball. Yankees have it fine. Never
Tough
gonna change.
weekend
Let's go.
for Nats uni news.
Why?
I think they'll get a new City Connect after.
I like the
this year.
V-neck. I like the V-neck. I'm down with that uniform. I don't like their new just like
Wait, this V-neck,
block
this
letter.
white V-neck with the
I dig it. It's different.
that doesn't look like an actual uniform. That's an MLB uniform, or is that like a spring training alternative thing?
No, that's the MLB uniform.
Oh, I don't like that. But I'm a boring old person, so don't judge my opinion.
I like
People don't
the-
like
Oh,
I
it
like
looks
the
better on. It looks like a basketball warm-up pullover thing that you wear like over your basketball jersey.
You looking at those 2 roped up guys wearing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked better on them than on the hanger, but it still, to me, doesn't look like game time.
Oh, that's Stone Garrett. He is ripped up.
Doesn't look like a
He's
game time
roped up.
jersey to me.
I see what you're
Sometimes
saying.
without the buttons, it's nice to play in a jersey without buttons. It feels good. So
Is that why it looks odd to me? There's no buttons.
Yeah,
How many teams have buttonless jerseys?
it's more of like an old school thing. The Twins had like the old
They're
school
out of
powder
style.
blues that that didn't have it. They're like V-neck kind of look.
Interesting.
I was going to say, this jersey reminds me of like Hank Aaron. Like, I feel like I watch his Braves highlights,
Yeah.
and that's what he's wearing.
Yeah.
Who needs buttons?
I feel like the Pirates maybe have or recently had a set that were buttonless, but
Know what you might need, though? Mando. Pay attention, people. Especially, you know what? I'm going to be real. There's a lot of young males who listen to this program. Take a sniff of yourself, you might stink. Because, that's a tough time for a lot of guys. You're figuring out what's going on with the pits. Do I need to lube up twice a day down there? Why don't you try Mando? Do you want to smell like a zero? That's how they open up. No, you shouldn't want that.
Okay.
Men who showered with soap alone had an armpit odor score of 8 out of 10 after 12 hours. That's called big odor. Here comes Mando. Wow, proven to control odor for 72 hours. So this could be, if you're someone who's struggling to get through the day, this might be for you. And new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Code Talkin at shopmando.com. I put this on last Friday, and I didn't smell bad. So that's my personal endorsement. And again, for our listeners, if you use code Talkin, you get $5 off the Mando starter pack at shopmando.com. Code Talkin. Click the link in the description. If you use deodorant, or if you're needing to use deodorant, go check them out. And I think it comes with some wipes. Oh, yeah, Joe's took my deodorant wipes very confidently. Trev, you're raising your hand.
I didn't get a sense of Mando package, but is this deodorant or is it soap or is it both or is it a line?
There's a lot of
Deodorant.
stuff. Deodorant,
Okay.
lotions, wipes.
Great.
they've got you covered on the
You need all
grooming
that stuff.
scent front.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, a little recap of guys that are, unless there's anyone we missed, but guys that are still out there because a lot of things tumbled.
Nice.
What? Oh, there's according to Fangraphs projections, which have been accurate enough, there are only 5 players remaining that are projected to sign more than a 2-year deal. That's Jorge Soler. They have him 3 years, $16 million a year. Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and Bellinger. So the Boras 4 and Jorge Soler are that we're supposed to get more than 2 years. Guys that they said might get 2 years, you got Clevenger, Lorenzen, Michael A. Taylor, Whit Merrifield, Ahmed Rosario, Clayton Kershaw, Brandon Belt, JD Martinez, Duvall, Pham, Gary Sanchez, Carlos Santana, Justin Turner, Zach Greinke, Brandon Crawford, Ryu. I'm down to 1 year.
Yeah.
Donaldson, Grandal, Crone, Anderson, Pollock, Odorizzi. That's kind of what's left. So it actually, a lot of stuff did clear. It is the Boras 4, really, and Soler that are out there.
JD Martinez.
Yeah,
So mad at Shohei.
Yeah. Well, and Jock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalton really wanted JD to go to the Snakes. I don't think it's happening now.
Because not many teams want a full-time DH. So there's only 30 teams. Then you got to take away teams that have full-time DHs. And then you got to take away teams that don't want full-time DHs.
I wouldn't mind the Twins taking a stab at JD Martinez. Byron Buxton says he's playing center field this year. How many games? I don't know, but he's a guy that could fit. They got to trade some people.
Yeah, because you also got to be in contention. If you're not in if you're not really like, this is a win year. I don't think you're going to want a full-time DH.
You could trade. You could trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, if that's your strategy, that would be a good one.
guy.
It's a tough gig right now. If you're not already, I'm sure there's teams out there. I think JD Martinez is going to be an injury signee. Like
spring training, something happens.
Camp starts, spring training.
First week of spring.
I believe that's also what Boras is doing right now with his guys. You know, you saw Graveman go to the IL, and Houston quickly went and got Hector. And I think, you're at that point right now where some agents are like, hey, let's just wait it out. Something might happen. Things might change, and needs might get, dire, and then we'll strike. Angels going to get one of these pitchers?
Probably trying.
You watch an Angels game, who's sitting behind home plate every game?
Not Nesbalello anymore.
Boras.
Yes, Scotty B.
King.
He's at every game. I feel like he's at Angels and Dodger games at the same time. Maybe a body double. He probably can afford it. Put those rumors out there.
That'd be pretty cool.
Was Rendon a Boras agent?
I think
He's
had some great quotes this offseason. He's killing.
Well, Rendon was Boras, right? How many Angels free agents? How many Angels signings have been Boras agents?
Boras sneakily.
Believe Rendon is Boras, yes.
Running the Halos.
Scott Boras endorses Art Moreno to remain owner. Yeah, he fucking signs all your guys, dude.
Good endorsement.
I want to give a quick before we end here. I want to give a quick Teddy Plouffe, Twinsfest, very cerebral take that he had. Wow. He's 8 years old. We go to this party. We're hanging around. It's a bunch of, players on the team, coaches, front office types. So, very familiar with me. And a lot of them saw Teddy when he was a baby in Minnesota. He was born in Minnesota. And so, everyone's coming up and talking to him. And he's an 8-year-old. That's hard for an 8-year-old to, answer questions and stuff like that. But he did a really good job with it. It was patient and polite and all these things. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, man, what'd you think of today? He goes, Dad. He goes, everybody asked me the same questions, just with different words. I was like, welcome to life, bro. That's life.
Yeah.
Great perspective right there. And he did a good job with it, but I thought it was funny. Man, so true.
That is
so true.
One thing of note that I'm looking at, because I was trying to look up Boras agents, Paxton's a Boras guy and did a deal with the Dodgers. They usually do not work together.
Okay.
He also Boras, also Gallo, Hoskins, more. So it looks like Boras was like, hey, let's clean up all these smaller ones if the top 4 are stuck. You want movement? I'll go move it. Someone tell me all the free agents that the Angels have signed that are Boras guys.
Oh, we're getting to conspiracy theories now.
No.
Like
I'm
this.
not.
I think that's conspiracy.
I'm
It's just
doing
they've
that.
signed a lot
I'm
of Boras
doing
guys.
Oh, okay. I'm just interested to know, because if it's a lot, then I would bet big money the Angels are going to get Monty or Snow.
I'm
But if
watching
it's
the show
not-
Suits right now, so I got all these backdoor deals, like what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking Boras and Artie Moreno are just in cahoots, but
I mean, I think one of them's in cahoots. I think the other one's doesn't realize it.
touche.
What's that being? What's that called? Kahoot?
Yeah, a coup.
A coup.
Boras owns the Angels.
And that's the episode.
That's the episode. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Max Kepler's so freaking hot.
Subscribe.
Bentley's not number 1. It doesn't. It makes my list null and void if I don't have Max Kepler number 1 hottest guy. Future Yankee.
Future former Yankee.
Dun, 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 dun.